When I first started selling on Amazon, I thought more growth came from me doing more products, more supplier, more outreach, literally just spending more hours on the business. But after scaling our Amazon business past 35 million in sales, I realized it was my mindset that was holding me back. But the biggest breakthroughs in our growth didn't come from me adding new tasks. It came from me cutting out the wrong ones. So in this video, I'm gonna go over the exact tasks that I cut out that allowed us to actually grow our business, the things that allowed us to scale way faster, and the ones that were actually draining our time and resources. If you're busy all day but not seeing the results you want, this is gonna completely change how you think about scaling. Let's get into it. So when you think about scaling a business, the first thing you want to do is take some of that profit you have coming in and outsource anything that doesn't drive revenue. One of the first things I did that was just taking up a ton of time was just responding to customers. You see, Amazon has this rule where you need to respond to customers within 24 hours of them reaching out to you. Now, sometimes that's just directing them to Amazon. Like if they say, hey, my product is late and you're using FBA, Amazon Prime, what you want to do is just say, hey, reach out to Amazon. They're the ones that can actually tell you where your product is, not us as the seller, because we're leveraging their fulfillment. Questions like this need to be answered, but if you as the business owner, the person that's responsible for making more money for the business, are busy responding to messages all day, what are you doing? Freaking wasting time. So one of the first things I did was outsource to a virtual assistant in the Philippines was, hey, I'm gonna pay you about $2 an hour. One of the tasks you're gonna be doing is gonna be responding to customer emails. Think about it. I'm gonna have them do a lot more than that, but just for $80 per week, I could have someone respond to all these messages and buy back a lot of my time so I can focus on what drives more money. When you're getting into business, always think from a point of leverage. What brings in the most freaking money and what is just wasting my time? Responding to customers is definitely in that bucket. Now, this is the next thing that I got off my plate, but depending on if you're really good at it, this may be something that you want to do. But what I suck at is financial data. I am not a freaking accountant, a bookkeeper, a tax advisor. All of that crap had to get outsourced to someone who was way better. Now, when you first start off, do you need to go out there and get a bookkeeper and all of that? No, you don't even need to get anyone to do it in the first place. You can leverage softwares like Seller Legend or Seller Board to do all of this work for you. It will literally plug right into your Amazon store and give you data points to know what products are bringing you in terms of profitability, revenue, and which ones are not bringing you as much money, so you can make high-level decisions on if you want to continue to sell them or say peace. Get them out the door. Financial data, as you grow the business, it gets more and more complex. You have more staff members, you have more softwares, all of that fun stuff. So eventually, when you're making 10, 20, 50, 100K a month, what you're gonna wanna do is bring in a bookkeeper or a tax advisor to do this. This is one of the first things that I got off my plate so that I can focus on, once again, what was bringing in the most money, which, to put in a nutshell, was simply finding more profitable products. All of that other noise can be easily outsourced to someone or software, which will cost you $40 a month for Seller Legend or Seller Board, or for bookkeepers, we pay our bookkeeper like $500 a month to just handle everything under the sun. Really cheap, allows us to focus on, boom, what brings in the money. Now, this part is something that it took me a while to really let go of the vine on this one. This is something that the whole first year in business, which for me was 2020, a year that we did 860K in sales. This was something that I was reluctant to let go of because it's literally the lifeblood of the business. Like, you can be the best at prepping products. You can be the best at financial data. You can be the best at all this crap. But the thing that brings in the most money, finding products. So when it comes to actually going out there, creating orders with my distributors and brands, creating these purchase orders that actually tell them what we want to buy, this is something that I eventually, in year 2, let go of the vine and had a virtual assistant do this work. Do I just let them do it and send them in and make orders for me? Absolutely freaking not, right? I gotta make sure that my money is going to the right product. So I'm still gonna review it, but the actual creation process, dude, sometimes it would take me like an hour, 2 hours per order to just double check everything, dot my I's, cross my T's. But this was something that if I could outsource to that same virtual assistant that I'm paying $2 or maybe $3 an hour, I could incentivize them or say, hey, if you make an order that's over 100K, 200K, I'm gonna give you a little bonus for a few $100s. This took a lot off my plate. I could just go in at the end of the day. At this time I was working on a W-2 job plus freaking overtime, so close to 90 hours per week. I could just come in from work, have a ton of orders on my desk, and I could just spend an hour, 2 hours checking it and sending it out to the distributor. I did this once a week. So instead of me spending an hour, 2 hours a day making these orders, at the end of a week, I could just approve orders that were going for the next week. This saved a tremendous amount of time. Like I said before, think from a place of leverage. Where is the money? Everything else, get it off your plate as quick as possible when you're profitable. So my virtual assistant, year 2, right? This is what took us from 860K to 3.3 mil. They would create the orders. They would reach out to the brands for me. They would do all of this stuff and literally just get to a point where I can actually do what I'm best at, which is the soft skills, negotiating the deals, calling the distributors, building that interpersonal connection that allows me to get better deals than a lot of other people. What I think about from when I look at this business is one thing is very hard to outsource is going to be the personal connections. Think about if you're using a virtual assistant like us based in the Philippines, Pakistan, Mexico, Colombia, wherever the hell you're gonna be using them, right? They're not gonna have the same love for the business as you, but they can do a lot of this crap. Like they can go and source all these brands and suppliers for me. They can give me a list of everyone they reach out to. They can create the orders. I can train them how to reorder my winning products, how to cut my losing one. This is something you want to build systems around. And honestly, it's one of the last things you want to let go of is the actual ordering process and the reaching out to brands and suppliers, because that is what your bread and butter. If you're good at that, you make a ton of money. But eventually, the better you get at it, the easier it is for you to train somebody to actually do this. Now, when you first start, I'll be clear. All of these things that I'm currently outsourcing, don't start there. Right? Start with the first thing I said. Have them be just communicating with the consumers, right? Busy work. Have them create your Google Sheets, write your orders and all of that. I wouldn't say busy work, but it's something that they can be trained to do in a few hours and can save you a tremendous amount of time. I think about it from this perspective, right? Let's just say you have a full-time job. You want to give this business, I would say at least 8 hours per week, right? When you first start. Where is that 8 hours best spent? It is going to be finding more products to buy and more brands to work with. If you could just hyper focus on that, get everything else off your plate, you win. Only caveat I'm gonna say here is when you first start, I'm gonna be real with you. A big mistake I see people do is they come into this business and they start flexing how much capital they have. They're like I had a guy talk to me the other day and he said, okay, I have 150K for inventory. I wanna speed run this. Like, what do I do, right? And he wanted to go and start hiring right away. And I'm like, no, right? Because here's the thing. When you start hiring before you actually know what to do, when you start outsourcing before you actually know what to do, you have no clue in this world if someone is doing a good job or not. When you first start, I'm sorry, put your hard hat on. You're gonna have to learn A to freaking Z of the business. You're gonna have to do everything yourself at least 1 to 2 times. And then you start figuring out the things that either A, don't align with your skill set, or B, are just freaking busy work. Like my partner, Tate, right, who I've been working with since 2020. He's much better at me at operations. He can look at Excels all day. I get a headache after 30 minutes of looking at a Google sheet or an Excel. Guess what? He got outsourced too, right? For you, that might be your business partner who's better at you than that. It might be a virtual assistant. But as soon as you have some capital in your pocket, some profit coming in, take a portion of that, put it in your pocket, right? Go buy yourself something nice. Take a little more of that, go and hire somebody, or go and build an AI tool, or go and get a software that can do a lot of the work. Always think from the point of leverage and what is your zone of genius? What can you not be replaced at? For me, it was real simple. I can yap all day to suppliers. I can build great relationships. I can get negotiations across the board. So that was my zone of genius. That's what I honed in on year 2. And that's what allowed us to 4x the business in a year. While in reality, I was working even less freaking hours and making more money. Portion of your profit always has to go into outsourcing. Now, the last thing I outsource, right? And I'm saying this for the more advanced sellers. If you're brand new, you can freaking ignore everything I'm about to say here. Is the actual communication with the brands and suppliers you're working with. Right now in our company, our head of brand outreach, her name is Nadia. She is a freaking beast. She is literally better at brand outreach than me. Now, did she start there? No, it took her a while for her to get there. But once I realized, like, damn, Nadia's closing more deals than I was before. Guess what? She got paid more money. She got put into that role. She became head of brand outreach, and now she's closing deals for us on repeat. Every single week, she closes 5 brand direct deals for us to go in there and just approve the order, make more money, right? But this is honestly one of the last things you want to ever let go off your plate, right? It might take you a year to get there. It might take you 6 months, whatever, right? It just takes finding the right person and incentivizing them, right? But when you first start, please, 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 don't be one of the people that want a virtual assistant or your partner or someone reaching out to brands. That is where the money is. Hyper focus on that. Become so freaking good at that you can literally print money on demand. This business is really simple, but always think from that leverage perspective. And always remember, you are the main cog in this wheel. Your job is to close these brand direct deals. Outsource everything else. So those are the tasks I stopped doing that allowed our Amazon FBA business to scale way freaking faster. The biggest shift wasn't just working harder. It was removing the things that were holding us back from being able to scale a business in a much more rapid time. time period. The things that allowed us to really move the needle. So if you're feeling busy all day but not seeing real growth, that's usually a sign that you need better systems, not more effort. This is exactly how we've been able to scale past $35 million in sales. By doing less of the actual wrong work and focus on what actually moves the freaking needle every month. If you want to skip all the trial and error and learn the exact wholesale system that we use in our business, hit the first link in the description to sign up for our next completely free live training where I'll be breaking it all down. I'll walk you through how to get approved with real brands and authorized suppliers, how to find products that actually sell month after month, year after year, and how to build a business that scales without burning out. At the end of the day, we are not looking to become solopreneurs. We want something that runs even when we're on vacation, the holidays, wherever, it's still making us more money every month. So if this video helped you out, make sure you subscribe, because every week we're dropping new videos about what we use in the past 6 years to scale our business to over 8-figure run rate, and what we're doing going into year 7 to get us to over $20 million per year. See you in the next one.